You
And
went
so,
through the surgery probably quickly.
yeah.
You had a check in your spirit. You told Dr. Gonino and I and all of us here in the studio a couple of weeks ago, really had a check on this chemotherapy. Yet you're being sold by how many oncologists? Look, we love you, man. You got to get this chemo. It's how we keep you alive. What did you do with that?
So I visited 4 oncologists. The first one is in one of the prominent hospitals here in Dallas. And before I even talk about them, I just want to tell you that all of the professionals I dealt with, all the doctors, every one of them, I don't have negative to say about them. They're very compassionate, caring. They cared about me. I could tell that. As a matter of fact, after I met with this guy, I left and I said, I like him. Like I told Julie, I said, I like this guy. And if this is the route we're going to go, I'm good with this. But when I met with them, I had 2 main questions. One was I wanted to know prognosis. They're leery about telling somebody with a new diagnosis that, but he said the mean is 5 years. The average person makes it about 5 years. And then my second question was protocol. And protocol, of course, is the FDA standard of care, which is chemo and radiation. And he had the specific names of the chemo and how that process works. And I immediately felt like I didn't want to do chemo. Like when he said chemo, I just felt like I did not want to do it. And I told him that. I said, I don't want to do chemo. Give me another option. He said, there's not one. And I was like, man, there was no option. And I visited 3 other oncologists, and one of them is the biggest hospital I know here in Texas that deals with cancer diagnosis. The lady there told me, again, very passionately told me that if I didn't do chemo, she said, Albert, you might get 7 years out of this, but if you don't do chemo, it'll be half of that. And
Wow.
and again, I felt the same thing there, but it was the exact same brand of chemo and name of chemo and everything. And I was, when we left there, I told Julie that, if we're going to do chemo, we'll do it in Dallas. It's the same thing there. We don't need to drive all the way to here to do it. And the other 2 oncologists were radiation oncologists, but it's radiation and chemo. They go together. So according to them, they go together. Ultimately, I chose to do radiation. I did not do chemo.
How much radiation did you?
It's 28 sessions of it.
You did the surgery.
6 weeks.
And John, do you have the graphic that we can show the audience here? I hope they have a bigger screen than we do, but the one on the left is apparently when you were diagnosed. The one in the middle, see the septum, the way it's leaning, it's curved there in the middle, almost like a spine. But there's obviously something pushing that, and that is the tumor, correct?
In the middle one is after surgery. So the deviation in the midline there is still there even after the surgery. So that's basically a wound that hasn't healed is what you're looking at in the middle one. And then the one on the right is what it looks like now.
You're 28 months into this so far?
Yeah.
And you're hearing doctors telling you, well, you have 7 more months to live because you didn't do chemo. And yet I sat here with your doctor, and I want to go into that, telling, he calls me and texts me and says, I got somebody I want you to meet. This is amazing. Julie, you're doing many things, supplements, juicing you did for a long period of time. The change must have been remarkable. I guess initially took on a vegan diet. And took on a diet first that was the carnivore, did you say, or some?
No, it was just a vegan diet. Just
Okay.
We removed all animal products.
Okay.
And so very strict for the first 90 days that we did.
Who told you, when did the D word come out?
The
diet.
The diet?
Yeah.
Initially with Gonino, I was on a candida diet.
Okay.
To remove fungus and yeast or whatever is in there. So it was just, I guess, starving that off, getting rid of that. That's initially where I started, and then it evolved into learning about the vegan diet and how that worked. But and then with the juicing and everything, the juicing just changed everything. I think. So.
Changed your world.
Yeah.
Dr. Gonino said, this is good, but the word immune system was new to you, the word supplements or diet. You talked about going into a fast food joint and drinking, bunch of, do they still call it Big Gulp? You were drinking a bunch of soda every day, using your cell phone, for a long period. Do you wonder? Do you wonder?
We don't know exactly, but we have a good indication that from what we've learned, this type of stuff is not caused by one thing. It's caused by a lot of different things, a lot of bad decisions. And the food, our diets, at one point I was drinking, I had a business right next door to a fast food restaurant, and I was drinking 4 44-ounce diet drinks a day with all the
diet,
the
so
stuff that's in
NutraSweet.
it. Yeah, NutraSweet, the aspartame, all that stuff in it. And I was doing that. My minutes on my phone were, because it was a lot of phone stuff, there was anywhere from 8,000 to 11,000 minutes a month. So I'm holding a phone up here. So the EMFs from the phone. I am right-handed, and that's actually where the tumor formed. But there's that, and then we learned a lot about our house, like physically inside of our home, the toxins that we're bringing in our home, and there's Julie, when we learned about this, Julie, she brought a trash can in and removed every shampoo, conditioner, laundry soap, dishwashing soap, deodorant, toothpaste, everything, threw it all away. And she found a few apps that she can use to help minimize that. We've learned you can't get rid of all the toxins, but you can really minimize them.
Friends, stay tuned to know the cause, because there are other episodes with Albert and Julie on them.